Choosing a difficulty for you and your squad in Helldivers 2 can be challenging, as each failed mission can waste up to an hour of game time with no rewards. So, I will tell you some information that I use when choosing the perfect difficulty, as well as how I quickly strategize before each mission. Let's first break this down into the main issues of choosing a difficulty with 4 main points. First, enemies that spawn. Second, stratagems and weapon composition. Third, mission types. And fourth, operation modifiers. Although negative affecting operation modifiers will start appearing on difficulties 5 and above, at difficulty 8 you will start seeing 2 negative effects that will change the difficulty of the mission drastically. The main one you want to worry about is the anti-air defenses, which reduces stratagem slots by 1. However, take this as a challenge, as it will require you and your team to decide which stratagems to take and make strategizing that much more important to the mission's success. Now, the main variable you want to choose is the mission type and the stratagems, because these are the core parts of what decides whether you will succeed or fail. Thus, you can imagine that level also plays a role in choosing your difficulty, because low levels are limited in their stratagems, weapons, and in-game knowledge. Now, to be clear, missions can be completed with low level players, but they'll need to put in more work and apply more game skills in order to succeed. Anyways, that's a topic for another video in the future. So, let's start off by understanding what enemies will spawn at what mission type. So, on difficulties 1 through 3, you will have your light infantry units. So that's your raider, your marauder, your commissar, your berserker, and some medium units such as your spewers, your warriors, your hive guards, and so on and so forth. Starting on difficulty 4 and up, you'll start to see some heavy troops start to come in. So these will be your bile titans, your factory striders, your hulks, your shriekers, your gunships, your tanks, your brood commanders, all of which will spawn naturally in the world you're liberating. All is said and good, since at this point you basically will see everything the game has to offer in small and very doable doses. Getting to difficulty 7 should be very doable, as the spawn rates of the large tanky units are still very much limited, and at most you'll probably see around 2 or 4 bile titans or factory striders per game, depending on the game length and spawning mechanisms. Thus, use this time to challenge yourself with different stratagems, weapons, strategies, understanding the various weak points and objectives, and so on and so forth, so that at higher difficulties, all this comes naturally and you will be less shocked and disoriented. At difficulties 7 through 9, you will now face a lot more than just a few heavy units, and with a swarm of light infantry and flying mobs, you will truly feel the Helldiver's dilemma. But this is something all Helldivers are made for, and you will eventually succeed. The best way to cruise through these higher difficulties would be choosing the right stratagems and weapons for the job. First, find out what you're struggling against and plan a strategy for those types of enemies. Don't forget to look at the overall picture though, as not taking anti-tank weapons in favor of swarm annihilating weapons will quickly cause your death and ultimately a mission failure. To give some quick examples though, for bugs, light machine guns or rover backpacks will eliminate all swarming enemies, and the heavy duty enemies are swiftly dealt with using a quasar cannon, expendable anti-tanks, or other highly destructive support weapons. Airstrikes and cluster strikes can also do the job quite well, but use whatever you have unlocked so far. If you are looking for some recommendations though, the most commonly used stratagems would have to be the eagle stratagems and orbital stratagems. These holds true for automatons as well. However, I would switch from an offensive to a defensive stratagem, as those units will dish out constantly long-range accurate damage, so a shield backpack, laser cannon, explosive weapons, and other orbital lasers will be your bread and butter for these types of enemies. Finally, let's talk about the mission types, because there are a lot, and picking the right mission will not only decide how long you're in the field, but how effective you and your team can take out the targets. The missions in lower difficulty are not as important, as they tend to be only 2 or 3 max objectives needing to be liberated. The higher difficulties, like 6 through 9, is where the mission types can and should really be planned. The absolute best paired missions would be the elimination mission types and bug or fabricator search and destroy missions. These missions will have stars next to them so you could quickly tell that these are a priority for you and your crew. The third mission type is not as important as it'll end up being some sort of long mission type, but let's talk about those now. There are a few long mission types, and each can vary in how long it'll actually take to full clear. So, the easiest missions would be destroying something. So, destroy an airship, destroy eggs, destroy bunkers. These mission types will be very quickly done if you and your squad prepare effectively. Usually, orbital lasers do the trick, but for the eggs, I would use airstrikes or 500 kilogram bombs, which will have you on the objective location for less than a minute, leading to the mission completion in a very little time. Longer missions tend to be those you're running back and forth from, usually due to needing to complete sub-missions before clearing the main mission. These would be your IBM rocket launches, your emergency evacuations, or retrieve valuable data. All of these mission types will be a back and forth journey and should be avoided if possible, if time is a limiting factor for your diving squad. Note that there are other missions I didn't talk about in this mini guide. However, these are the most common types of missions available on each and every planet currently in Helldivers 2. Ultimately, if you are new or an experienced Helldiver, it'll be worth it to do a bit of strategizing to save time on dives and make each and every dive a bit easier by being prepared for the enemy types, mission objectives, and using the best weapons for the job. What weapons would be best for you to take out on automaton or terminids should be the next thought you have when choosing your next mission, which is a great start to any Helldiver strategy. Don't forget to keep mixing and matching stratagems, weapons, and armor to keep the dives fun and fresh. I hope this mini guide helped you learn what it takes to make any difficulty dive successful, and if you've learned something new or have any questions, comment down below. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to see videos like this one, and I will see you on the next video.